motivated. We all need a little motivation. Money keeping her motivated. We all need a little motivation. Money keeping me motivated. We all need a little motivation. Money keeping her motivated. We all need a little motivation. Keep all the real motivated. Keep all them little motivated. Maybach 600, it drove her crazy. Sure they gon' do it, she motivated. I've been neglecting the rover lately. I've been neglecting the sober lately.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Smooth Podcast, simply motivating others onward through hope. Here to the left with me, I have a longtime friend. I feel like I say that a lot, but I really do know these people in real life, so it's cool that I get to bring them on the couch with me. Madelyn Duarte, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much. I just was telling you this too. I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
For doing this because you've been wanting to do this for a while. So.
A while. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. Like, you know, I get hit up every now and then like, oh, like, it's dope that you're trying to do this, like, new thing. And it's like, yo, I've been wanting to do this since, like, before COVID and stuff like that. And yeah. I just need the right place and the right ideas. And, you know, it's coming to fruition now. So thank you. Madelyn is a bomb realtor here in Rhode Island. She sells a ton of homes, always busy. She's actually so busy that she couldn't sell me a house when I was looking for one. And I'm sure we'll get into that story later. Madelyn, where were you born and raised?
Providence, Rhode Island. I'm a Rhode Island native.
Mm-hmm. And what high school did you go to?
I went to classical.
Oh, nice, nice.
I love that I went to classical. It's a lot going on in the news with classical right now, but shout out to them.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I mean, because classical is one of the better public schools, supposedly. I mean, who can really like count that, but I just think that a lot of the teachers get into that like school because they're hoping, you know, that they're dealing with better students, easier work, and it ends up being kind of like those teachers are there for years. Like, I don't know one person who went to classical and didn't have Miss Flynn, and she would literally be like falling asleep in there, and no one could fire her because of like the union, or because like, you know, then we just got stuck with an English teacher. Right. I mean, God, you know, she did die, so rest in peace, but. You know, she should have stopped teaching a long time ago. Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. My father, he's part of the Providence Public Schools. And, you know, when the students, when they want, you know, the teacher said whatever on their social pages and stuff like that, you know, obviously there's, like, student outrage. But what my father tells me is, like, listen, if we fire these particular teachers, then that's giving them what they want. And now they can use that as, freedom of speech, like, things of that nature. So it's a tricky situation over there. Yeah. But after classical, what did you get into?
Yeah, I went to Rhode Island College. I graduated from Rick. I have a degree in mass media communication.
Okay. And so I know that, you know, speaking of mass media, what were you planning on doing? Were you planning on being a broadcaster, or what was kind of your decision to do that?
I actually wanted to be a weather girl, like, at the time.
I can see it.
I was rooting for me because, but there's only 3 weather jobs in Rhode Island, so you got to either wait for someone to like die or retire. Right. Never gonna happen. Right. But I did. When I was at Rick, I met DJ. Go DJ. Shout out to him.
Shout out Go DJ.
We started up This Is the Plug, and it started as just like our college radio station, and then as we grew it and branded it, we started like branching off into events, bigger interviews, and then created like the business and then made a studio out of it.
Yeah, shout out to that. So, you know, I know this might be a difficult question, but where, you know, do you want to kind of pick that back up, or is the plug kind of something that was in the past? Like, what's the current situation with that?
Yeah, so currently, I think where we both are, it's like the plug has always been, I feel like, a real staple in a lot of like the Rhode Island music industry. I'll say New England because it's not just Rhode Island. Like we touched a lot of different states. And I think that it was like a really incredible like stepping stone for us and what we were trying to do, because I think everything that I did in part of the plug plays into something, or some type of network that I have now.
Right.
And then all of the things that I did with the plug led into other things. So it's not to say that like it's like done or ended or anything, but I think it's for the time frame that we were in, it was very much based on that time frame that we were in.
Right.
Now we're in a very different world where like, you know, TikTok and it's something that would have to be completely rebranded, but I think the beauty of it was what it was. And I think that it'll always be forever. You know, you can't ever like go back and take anything back.
I mean, you know, to this day, both of you are the plugs in your respective fields and respective crafts. So, you know, like you said, it's a forever thing. So
I think too, the other aspect is there's not like one artist I can think of that we like out of Rhode Island that we didn't like interview. Like we were so hungry and so motivated to just really get like the music in Rhode Island out into the world. And it takes a lot to do that. Like it takes a lot to like believe in other people so much. And like we were like filming everything ourselves, paying for everything ourselves. Like it was very beautiful to be a part of and like to build. And I think that going forward, it's like at the time, I mean, like from the time when like right before COVID, it was like, do we still carry this so heavily and so much? Because it is a lot, you know, it's a lot of work. And we believed in it so much, like music and especially like the music here. So I'm really grateful that we were able to impact so many artists here and like keep that momentum going, because there's so much beauty in the music here. Not even just the music, I'll say like the creatives here.
Right. Yeah, I 100% agree. So, you know, you get your broadcasting degree. You know that the weather girl dreams kind of seem dim. What's your next step after that? Yeah,
so after that, I got like a few different jobs. I think I worked for every major company in Rhode Island and probably got fired. Like I worked for Hasbro, CVS Corporate, and most of them I think I got fired from in some way or some form. But I just never wanted to work a job. Like I really didn't. I really did believe in the aspect of just working in some type of creative way for myself. And great, like thankfully I haven't worked a job in a long time, you know, like a job. I just made a way, found a way, figured it out. But I knew that I wasn't gonna be good at those like corporate jobs because it wasn't right.
And now, you know, this other job that you speak of is, you know, being a realtor. When did real estate even become a thought in your head of something that you would want to pursue?
Yeah, I was actually 19.
Oh, wow. So pretty early on.
Yeah, I've been doing real estate for like 10 years, but on and off. So I started out 19. I just got super motivated. I had met someone online and they did like a wholesaling thing. And I was like, wait, how do you do this? Like I kept seeing him post like $10,000 checks and I'm like, wait a minute, like this is interesting. So he basically like trained me in how to do it and how to set it up. But he was like, look, like I don't have time to train you like fully in depth because one, I'm not making money off of you. And, you know, I'll definitely help you if you have questions. I'm happy to. Just because like he was another person of color, so he was like, you know, you're a woman of color. I want to make sure that, you know, I do my due diligence, but like I gotta make money. So he taught me how to do it, and I just got super motivated. And I was also at a point where I was on academic probation in school, so I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to keep going to school, if I wanted to figure out something else. I ended up like doing the first step of like wholesaling is you have to get yourself out there and tell people like, hey, I buy houses. And when I started doing that, I started getting all these influx of calls, like all these homeowners like, yeah, I'm trying to sell my house. And I'm like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. And that's probably one of the things that I wish that I had went forward with, because it was really just lack of confidence. You know, like it was like, well, this is really great that I'm able to get started in this, but can I sustain this? Or what if something happens and I, you know, can't make money?
So when you put yourself out there, you weren't even expecting all the feedback that you got?
Not at all. Honestly, I I was expecting to like keep trying to do it while I was still learning it, like putting myself out there. And I even had a house under contract, actually. I was literally 19 years old. I had a house under contract for $18,000.
So real quick, before you keep going, because I have
Yeah.
listeners from all kind of like past and knowledge. What exactly is wholesaling in real estate?
So wholesaling, you don't need a real estate license for. You can literally find a homeowner who is either going through something, might not be able to sell the property, might have inherited it, some odd reason, it's probably damaged, distressed, and then you tell them, hey, I can get you a buyer. While you build these relationships with all these cash buyers or people that are willing to invest and looking for houses to flip, you then find them properties. So you're just the middleman. You help them, and then you just charge your own fee for whatever you're gonna do for them. So I had a house under contract for $17,000. It was like a single family 3 bedroom. And then I had a cash buyer who was willing to pay 27,000 for it. So I would have kept the difference. And then once I actually went there, met with the homeowner, I got so intimidated because it was like my first time. I got kind of like nervous. Like, he's telling me about the house. I don't know what he's talking about. I'm like, oh my God, this might not be for me. I think like I gotta kind of take a step back and do more research. So I researched myself to death and literally told the guy, like, look, I don't know if I can move forward with this. Like, I had a couple of buyers look at it. They weren't interested, but I had basically just chickened out, you know? And I always look back on it because I ended up deciding to go back to school. And I was just like, you know, I think it's just better if I stay in school and get more education and just get my degree.
It was a safer of the two.
Exactly. And like, there's nothing wrong with deciding to move in safety, and I'm glad that I did it at 19.
Right.
But now at 29, I'm literally like, whatever's the safest route, I will not go. Like, it's not worth it for me because I know that it's just like it was my lack of confidence at the time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that probably stumps, I would say, 90% of us, where it's like, you know, we want opportunity, but the risks and the unknowingness and, you know, the fact of the matter is everyone that is a expert or a really good professional in their field, the mess ups and the fallbacks and the failures, that's what's made them that good. So it's
Literally.
like, what we're trying to avoid, we actually need to be the person that we want to become.
Yes,
And
exactly.
it's an interesting process. And, you know, I still go through it today. I'm sure you do too. But yeah, you gotta, if you just kind of suck it up and just, I'm going to mess up, I'm going to make mistakes, and you just accept that, but learn from them, you're golden. You're golden.
It's funny too. I always do tell that story about me having the house under contract because what ended up happening was the client, he needed to sell that house to pay his wife's medical bills. And like, she had cancer. So selling it at that price, he really didn't want to, but he was like really needed the money. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, I would make $10,000, but like, he could use this money if he just sold it himself, like, you know, and be able to pay the bills and have a little bit extra over. So I literally like told him like how to sell the house. Like, oh, you go on Craigslist, you do this and blah, blah, blah. And because it just, in my heart, I wouldn't sit right with me knowing that I made a profit while like, and one of the things too is like, you realize in being a realtor, a lot of those things that wholesalers do, like they it's not to say like all wholesalers, but you know, you're not in the business of compassion in wholesaling.
Probably can't be.
You can't, no. And being a real estate agent, I realized it's like that was what made the difference. Like, I knew I wanted to be in real estate. I just didn't want to be it in a sleazy way. Like,
Right.
I don't want to take advantage of people. I don't
Right.
want to like, you know, try to profit off of someone else's like miserable life.
Right. So with that being said, you're doing the odd jobs, you're getting fired. What's the next step into becoming the woman that you are today?
Yeah. So, you know, I was still doing the plug for a long time. Actually, I got one of my coolest jobs, my favorite job, when I worked at the Strand.
Right.
That was I love the Strand. You know, shout out to the Strand, shout out to Frank and Gary, like
Shout out Frank.
the two like best people. They literally, like, I went to them and was just like, look, like, I'm tired of working these jobs, tired of getting fired. Like, do you guys have something that I can do here? Because you see my work ethic. Like, I'm a hustler. I can make something work. And they were like, yeah, actually, like, we'll just make like a job that we had because they promoted someone else, and just like, we'll take half of that and then half of another job, and we'll give that to you, and give me an opportunity. So they, at that time, I was the hospitality manager. So I would basically, whenever the artist came in, I always just made sure like they had everything they needed for the tours. And then if they needed to go anywhere or do anything, like I would assist.
What's the craziest story you could tell us about, an artist that came in one time for a show? Like, what's a crazy story that you could tell us?
Oh, good question. I know I get asked this a lot too. It's not like there was ever anything crazy. Like there was definitely some like weird requests.
What's some of the weird requests?
Like I've had like artist requests like lobster at like midnight.
Who's that?
Busta Rhymes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I had let's see. I literally had to like run and find a Jamaican restaurant because he wanted like Jamaican, and like thank God, shout out to Flames because y'all helped me keep my job. They still to this day, I literally am so grateful for them. Then there was someone else. There was like a lot of rock bands too that just would have really strange. Like I remember one time walking in, and there was like this crazy rock band, and then I like looked to the left, and there was really a dildo stuck on the in the dressing room. I'm like, what the fuck is going? Excuse me, what the heck is going on? And I'm like, okay, let's get out of here. But yeah, just always like something. That was the one good thing. It was like there was always something different, like always something fun.
Yeah, shout out to Frank and Gary at the Strand. They're doing great things over there. So after the Strand, what happens?
Yeah, so after the Strand, I ended up getting into doing loans. That was like right before COVID. I actually used to the company I worked for was a broker that sold SBA loans. So they would charge people to get the like SBA 7A, SBA because these loans, a lot of people don't know this. The loans that were like given out during COVID were already in place. Like they were already, like there was COVID, they added like the COVID relief loans, but the SBA 7A loans and then the SBA there's like 3 different ones. But we sold them before COVID gave them, like the government gave them away for free. So when COVID happened and they started giving away like the money for free, we basically, like most of us got laid off. So right. I was like, okay, but I had already had my real estate license and was already like pursuing it. Like at the time I had a listing. And then when COVID went crazy, real estate went crazier. So it was like a blessing. And right. Then I didn't even have to get laid off. I was just like, screw this. Like, I just stopped showing up.
Right. And now, when getting into real estate, what are some of the key things you think you did early on to kind of like set up your either marketing scheme or just to kind of set up your whole production as you have it today? What are some key things that early on you were like, oh, I actually did that right?
Yeah, one of the things that I will say is utilizing my network. That's why I say like with the plug, like I'm so grateful for the relationships that I built. I'm so grateful for the Strand, for the relationships I built. Pretty much I reached out to as many people as I possibly could and just let them know what I was doing. And in the beginning, it's really hard for people to trust you because everyone knew me as like Maddie from the plug. People knew me as like Maddie from, the Strand or Maddie from wherever. So it was like, I had to really rebrand myself and completely detach from any other way of thinking because, and that really how it is in real estate. Like, right. I don't really think of myself as like, I'm a realtor. Like in my mind, I am a sales athlete. Like I am a house selling athlete.
Right.
And, the difference is like most people can just like show up to work and work. It's like, I am constantly working and then I take a step back and show up in my life. And I'm okay with that. And I like it because that is just like the mindset that I want to be in. And it makes me feel like, I'm just a competitive person. I like to win. I like to do great. So I really look at it as like, the harder that I go and I push myself now, the less that I'll have to do when I'm older.
Right.
You know.
Right. The interesting thing about that too is I have the same idea. However, I also think once we get to that point, we'll be what in it for 30 years or something. We're not
Yeah.
gonna know any different. So we can fool
Yeah.
ourselves and be like, oh yeah, when I'm like whatever year old, like I'm a chill, but like we're already wired that way. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be harder to chill than to actually, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. You said COVID, real estate went crazy. What exactly did that do for your business? Was it more houses for sale? Was it more people reaching out to you to sell their house? Like what actually went crazy?
Yeah, so because of COVID, and then they wanted to keep money flowing through the economy. And what a lot of people don't know is through COVID, real estate actually was the backbone to our economy. Like if real estate had crumbled, our whole economy would have crumbled.
Mm,
And once I learned that, I was like, oh, it's a go. I'm going 100% full throttle. I started seeing like way more listings. I started just and like at the same time too, I had transferred from being an individual agent to going on a team. And I was with the Gary Almeida team, and they like basically Gary helped me to build my business into something that was more obtainable, because I was on Keller Williams at first, and it was almost like you're just like they have you show up for like a 6-week training, and they're like, all right, good luck out there, you know. But Gary was like more in depth with helping me to actually build a business that was sustainable and made sense, like and he's done it for 17 years. Like he's super like skilled in this and super smart, so
Right.
it was easy to follow his lead.
Mm.
Yeah.
And when it comes to people that you might know and another real estate agent might know, another realtor might know, is there any kind of, how do I say this? Is there any kind of like mean girls kind of clubs where it's like real estate agents get mad if mutual people or mutual friends pick one over the other?
You know what's funny? I get asked this a lot, and it's like, one, I don't look at it that way, because I would never want someone to work with me that doesn't feel like 100% they want to work with me. Like, I don't have buyers ever sign contracts. I don't require anyone to, because what I know is like I have a very specific work ethic, and I'm extremely accessible to any person and any one of my clients. Like, even if someone's not a client, my friends could literally reach out to me and call me, even if they have an agent, and just talk to me about real estate and ask me questions. And I'm okay with that, because for me, it's more important that I am someone in this community that people can rely on when it comes to real estate, especially within our community, because if you have all the information, then you can make the best choice for your family. And you can't do that without the educational part of it, about the knowledge, know, and you might be working with someone that, even if they're my friend or they're great or whatever, I've known them forever, I don't know how well they work because I've never hired them as my realtor. So if you just want to be able to make sure, like, okay, let me just check and make sure I'm like doing the right things, call me. I'm not going to sit there and like badmouth anybody or disrespect anybody. I'm just going to give you the knowledge and information of, okay, this is what it is. This is what it is. This is what it should be. And if that's what you're getting, you have the right person. And if you because a lot of people don't realize too, it's like no one has to know everything about real estate, but the person you work with, you should know, trust, and like. And you shouldn't work with anyone just because they're like your friend, cousin, uncle, aunt, bestie, just because of that relationship. It's like, and you also shouldn't work with someone just because they're like the top person, because at the same time, it's like, I don't even like this person, but I'm working with them because I know that they're gonna, they've sold 200 houses this year, and it's like, what's the point? It's a 6-figure purchase, and it's mostly the largest purchase most people make in their lives. So I would not want to do that with anyone I don't like.
Right.
I have a lot of respect for so many agents, and I feel like there's always something for me to learn from anyone. So it's like, I would never, and I think that's funny that you bring that up, because that is kind of what happened with us. And that also is like my story, because I don't even know if you know this, But that transaction was the hardest like moment I've ever had in real estate. I broke down crying that day.
Really?
Like it wasn't even just like, because of course like the seller was my family.
So let's provide some backstory before we get into it. All right. So this was 2021, right?
No, it was like
2020?
2020, I think so. No, it was 2021.
2021.
You're right, because I left my job in 2020.
So this was 2021, and I was looking to purchase a multifamily property, and the first person I went to was Maddie, and you can fill in because I don't remember it 100%, but
yeah. So it was really just like poor timing when you came in, and it was also like me trying to struggle and keep a deal together.
Yep.
So I had a multifamily that was not listed on the open market because it was like my family had built it. And shout out, I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but I will. I don't care. I guess
shout out EB,
I love
man.
you.
I'll say
shout out to EB, and I do want to say shout out to EB because one, he is doing amazing things in this community, and I am really so proud of him and just like all the strides that he makes in real estate.
Chances are, if you see a really nice modern blue house in the hood, it's his house.
So
chances are.
And like that was the thing, he trusted me to get this house under contract without having to go into the open market. He just literally like gave me the go away, and like a lot of people don't do that, and I'm somebody that really likes to earn everything. So just for the fact that like he trusted me, I felt like I had to like literally go full throttle and make sure that I did everything right. So and don't get me wrong, I did. It's just like the buyers literally at that time thought it was too good to be true, and like looking back on it now.
So tell the people, like, break down everything. So EB tells you, he has a house that he wants to sell. What was the specs of it, if you remember? How much was it? Because it went crazy, like, afterwards. So explain the whole thing. I want everyone to get the whole thing.
It happened so fast. So, all right, when we first, it was a brand new construction. It was a 3-unit, 4 beds each. We were going to, the first person who had it under contract for $405,000. This is a brand new construction in 2021. But yeah, so then the next person, so they ended up literally saying like it was too good to be true. They did not think that they were going to get this new construction. They thought it was sketchy because it wasn't on the open market. But literally I had just talked him into like being like, no, like I can find a buyer for this. Let me just get the buyer and bring them to you, and then we'll move forward. So at the end of the day, it wasn't in my control, but it happened like that, and it's okay. So I get another buyer, and that buyer had something. Their mom had passed away a few months before, so they were just battling a lot of different issues, and they were back and forth saying that they were gonna move forward, and then they didn't. And then when right at that time, you had reached out to me about a multifamily. So in my mind, I'm thinking like one, if this buyer doesn't work out, then I'm gonna like move forward and have Ray like submit an offer. Well, that buyer did not work out. You and I submitted the offer, but when at that point Eric was just like, look, like we're going buyer. Like I done already built this house. Like I want to get it out of my hands. It's just like, and then, but at the same time, because it was COVID, the prices were rising so high
that's what I was about to give up, is the fact that when her previous potential buyer was trying to be under contract, the market changed so much in that 2-3 week span that even though I came in with my credentials with the same offer, so the person that owned the house, he wouldn't lose any money. It was the same exact offer. That 2-week span, the house was able to sell for how much more?
50,000 more.
50,000 more.
Literally.
In 2 weeks.
And he went with someone else. So we both like got us out of the deal. But it's like,
mind you, it was pretty interesting because I know EB and I know Maddie from way before this, right? And I'm just like, dang, like how y'all gonna do that to me? But like I understood the business, so I was never like felt like I got slayed or anything. But it was a crazy time period. Time period.
And it was just timing too. The craziest part for me, and why it like still to this day, that is one of the hardest days I ever had in real estate, because I felt like I let him down, I let you down, and then I let myself down. Like I look at it like, damn, like all like one, it was all about timing, and it did suck, and it was just like one of those moments where you're like, fuck, like excuse me, sorry.
You're good.
I did not want to like let anyone down. You know what I mean? Like I set out to have like a goal to be able to like make this sale happen. And that was one of the hardest calls I ever had to make, to like tell him about the second buyer, and then like to being like, well, I got another offer, and you know, it's someone that we know and it's a strong offer. And he was just like, yeah, you get to the agent. I'm like, I like, and like the thing is too, like even him and I are working together on a sale now. Like we continue to work together, but in the time I was like, he's never gonna work with me again. Like, you know, Ray is gonna hate me. Like I was like so down on myself, and I mean literally like I cried for days. Like
Yeah.
it was hard.
Well, I wish I would have known that you took it hard, because like I was like annoyed just because I was like, oh, I was so set on it. But at the same time, like that was a time period where I was sending offers left and right, and they were all getting smacked, and like the house would go for, like you said, 50, 60 more. So like it was just that time period. Like I think I might have taken it a little bit different if it was like not that period where that was happening all the time. You know what I mean? But if it's business, I'm able to separate the person. You know what I mean? And like you said, like even EB, I think we talked 2 weeks ago about, you know, me developing a house, and you know, he wants to help out on that. So like there's definitely like no hard feelings or anything like that. With that said, I have a few questions that might make you scratch your head and you might have to think about. The first question that I'm really interested in is, what do you find more pleasing? Someone that you help being a first-time home buyer that's, you know, young and like getting into real estate early, and, you know, the future's bright, or that, not old, but the older married couple that has been renting all this time and they finally land their forever home?
That's
What's more fulfilling?
So, that is good question. So I'll say first time home buyers, because it's such a like real genuine place in my heart, especially knowing that one, in our community, a lot of a lot of people aren't even aware of this because of like the generations, but most of the opportunities that we have to purchase right now were not available to our parents. Like I had a conversation with my aunt who was she started, basically she's owned her house 50 years. She went in like the 90s to try and refinance on her house, and they literally wouldn't give her barely any money.
Wow.
And it was like, it's a single family in the east side, you know, that my family has owned for 50 years. And if I think about that now, and mind you, she worked at the bank. So think about that. Like she worked at the bank.
Crazy.
And there's something that they call redlining. So it's like they try to keep certain people in specific areas, and in order to keep you out of the areas with the higher property values. And they knew that if she didn't have the money to refinance on her house and fix whatever was wrong or going on with her house, then she probably will have to sell it or foreclose on it, right? So the thing is, I look at it and I say, if I can be someone that's a leader in real estate, that everyone in my community knows and understands to go to, it puts me in like my purpose, because I know that my purpose is to educate and help my community and aid them to utilize real estate into a bigger, into whatever they want to do. You know, a lot of people always think like, oh, I don't want to like be a landlord. You don't have to be.
Right.
You can find a house that is your house, and, you know, it needs a little bit of work. You give it time and you start building on it. But now you have that $200,000, $300,000 bank that you can utilize and do whatever you want to do.
And on that note, I'm so proud of you, because, you know,
thank you.
Our moms are like super cool, and my mom always asks about you, like, oh, how's Maddie doing and stuff like that. And, you know, all those kind of different phases that you went on, I feel like, you know, I was nearby, you know, spectating for a lot of those. And to see you in work mode, like, you know, when you were showing me the house and stuff like that, it was cool just seeing like the woman that you've grown into, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
And I think it's super dope. How do you measure success?
Oh, that's a good question. So I've actually broken this down because for a long time I thought success meant like a monetary value or like a certain number that I would get to. And once I really started like earning money, making money, seeing money, I realized that success had nothing to do with money.
Mm.
You know, it has everything to do with like I'm 29 years old. I've built a six-figure business. I've developed and created and have my hands in so many different things. And when I felt the most successful was when I I was progressing at a rate that I couldn't believe. Like it was like I was so focused on my business and building it, and I wasn't even cashing the checks. Like I'm just looking at it like, okay, what else can I do? Who else can I help? Like what more can I do? How can I build on this, you know? And a lot of the times I feel like it's like we look for success in an external way. Like, okay, well if I go here and do this and I am creating something and it turns into something, then I'm successful. But I think it's the more that we develop ourselves and become more of who we're supposed to be and kind of shed the things that were programmed into us, that's when you're really successful.
I like saying the real victories are the victories that people don't see.
Yeah.
So it's that bad habit that you know that you had and you couldn't shake, and now like you did your thing, and now you don't do whatever that is anymore. And like
Yeah.
the habits that, or the things that people don't see, and that's like means the most.
Yeah.
I've learned that too. Would you rather be loved or respected?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'll say loved because I think love is the most powerful emotion. You know, all things come out of love or fear. You know, you can love someone enough to they'll naturally respect you, but there's no way to control whether or not they respect you. You know, you just have to be yourself and be who you are. But love can change anything. Respect doesn't really change much, you know. Whether someone respects me or not, I'm still going to respect myself. You know, that's all that matters.
Right. Who are your two best friends currently? I know you might have more, but who, if you had to name just two, who would you name?
Yeah, Katharia is my best friend for life. That's my sister. Literally love her more than anything. I always call DJ my best friend because I literally business partners. We file our taxes together. So like you can't get any closer than that. So I always say DJ, yeah.
So if I was to walk up to both of them and say, hey, from each of them, what is the one biggest thing that you feel like Maddie needs to work on? What would each one of them say?
Ooh, DJ would probably say, I wonder what DJ would say. That's funny. All right, so I know Kat would probably say texting back. Sorry, sis. DJ would I think because I'm trying to think of like something that he would say about it. Probably that just making sure that I'm making the best choices for myself. Because DJ has seen me really grow, like from the most immature version of myself into like the adult that I am now. So I think DJ's always rooting for me, and like he wants me to be able to make like the best choices that I can.
Yeah. What's your biggest inspiration?
Oh, the future me. I can't wait to meet the future me. Every day I think that. And it's not even too like I'm like rushing or waiting. It's just like I know that every moment of my life right now is literally leading into something in the future. So it's like I'm just excited to see what God has in store for me, because I know it's like I'm barely even scratching the surface, you know.
I feel that. Here's an interesting question. What do you believe to be true that most people don't?
Ooh, that is, I don't know if you're ready for this. All right. I'm not even going to go too in depth. All right. We'll just keep it scratching the surface. But I don't believe that there is one realm that is happening right now. Like, I don't think that we are And then no one call me crazy either, because I'm not crazy.
No,
This
go
is
ahead.
facts, but it's a tough thing to like prove, but there is proof.
So like we live in the world, but there's another world also going on
At the same time.
at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that there's like they'll say like different dimensions. I don't believe in time. I think that all time is happening at once. So meaning, the same you that is here right now is the same you that was 6 years old and was like playing on the baseball field, and those two people are like, well, I don't want to say two people, but those are one person living their life at the exact same time. Like the same time that you're sitting here right now is the same time that you're sitting in the basement. I mean, in the baseball field, you know? And the reason why I say it is because there's all the ways of counting and calculating time is man-made. There's no actual real way of calculating a time span. Like like they say, oh, the years, yeah, okay, man-made. The clock, man-made. There's no realm. We're just born and then we die. You know, that you're born and then you're gone. You know, there's no, like, the only way to really know what, I guess the best way to say it is the only real span of a life, like a life or a lifetime, is just someone else. Like if I was born in a room and like died, you know, well, I don't want to say in a room. If I was born in a room and lived in that room for my whole life and died in that room my whole life, who would ever know that I was born? You know, and it sounds.
Well, something to your credit. I mean, I think they just got away with turning the clocks when the seasons change, right? Didn't they just get away with that? Like,
It's all man-made.
Like they don't do that. So it's like they just decided one day, like, oh, like we're not gonna do that anymore. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the man-made stuff, I bajillion like percent get where you're coming from with that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
If you could, you know, if money wasn't an object, your family would go with you. What city would you live in and why?
Oh, question. Definitely Colombia. Somewhere in Colombia.
Interesting. Really? Huh.
Yeah, somewhere beautiful, somewhere gorgeous that is like I could live like a queen for.
Pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes sense.
It's like Cartagena.
Yep.
I'm gonna move there when I retire at 40. I'll be there.
Not bad. Who are the top 5 current artists that you listen to?
Oh, Lil Baby, because you already know. I'm really actually listening a lot to Glorilla. I didn't think that
She's fire.
I'm not gonna lie.
She's fire, yo.
People could say what they want.
She's fire.
But it brings a ratchet out of me, and I'm okay with it. Beyonce's album, I cannot turn off at all. I don't want to. And then who else? I really want to credit too. There's a lot of like Rhode Island artists that are doing some dope things. So I just listened to Nino's project. He has like a really I didn't listen to the full thing, but I listened to what he released out, and I enjoyed that too. I love what Hennessy's doing too.
She's fire.
She
like, actually
her voice is amazing.
I saw like her name always like pop up and stuff, and then she actually performed at a Yellow Cup. Shout out to Wale, and like she like killed it. Like she killed it. And I'm like, oh wow, like she's actually talented. Like really, really talented.
And Rain just got signed to. It's like these are all people that I watched them when they started, and it's just like a lot of people think that you start and then you get to where you're going, and like you might have some setbacks and rollbacks. Like no, you start, you get to where you're going, and then you have to like regroup, rebrand, refresh, and start again. And then you start, you get to where you're going, you regroup, rebrand, and like the only people that get to where they're actually going to be are the people that don't give up. And like I always kind of think back to that day about like that deal with us, because that day I was gonna give up. I was gonna be like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like I'm not putting myself out there to like be this like upset and like frustrated or like hurt. But if I had to give up, there was like 30 houses I sold after that, you know? So if I had to give up, 30 families probably would have, you know, who knows if they, you know, would have even still purchased.
Right. If you could have lunch with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Ooh. Oprah, Tupac, and Grant Cardone, and I want to have lunch with all three at once. I have thought about this before. Yeah.
I was gonna ask you what realm this would be in, but I feel like that was,
It would be in the fifth dimension, and there are. Don't get me started on this, because that's the thing too. I hope no one watches this and they're like, this girl is crazy. But there's 5 different dimensions of time that is actually happening at once, and in some of those, there's different versions of you, and you get to really pick and choose. But you have to be in a whole different mindset to even understand that. And no, like, I say it because there's someone there right now who is wishing, hoping, and praying that they could change everything about their life. And they don't even know that there's one dimension over where they could literally just switch a few things that they're doing in their life and be that person.
All right. So if you can explain that in like a 3 to 4 minute thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be fast. The best way to explain it too is we are always one choice away from a different life. And a lot of people think that there's such thing as right and wrong. There is no right and wrong. I look at it like all of the choices that we make, it doesn't matter whether you think that they're right or wrong or not. Like I'm sure you've heard as a child that people always say, like, God knows what your life is going to be like already. Everything's predetermined. And then there's the whole aspect of like, well, you can make your own choices and you can do whatever you want to do. And, it's up to you. You get to decide. But people don't realize it really is coinciding together. God did predetermine your life and all the choices you get to make. And most people don't realize it doesn't matter what choice you make. They're going to lead you to the same place because it's all happening together. It's all working in the same way. Time is lateral, not, so the same you that is making the choices that you're making right now is the same child that was making the choices that they were making. And as you change things here, these things change too. So, if you're like, I look at 19-year-old me who was so super unconfident, the same way that now I began to gain that confidence in myself and began to understand more about myself, that same younger girl made all those choices that led me to be here, but they're all happening at once. It's
interesting.
It's a long convo, we'll
say. Yeah. That's interesting. When it's all said and done, how would you like to be remembered?
Yeah, that's a good question. I definitely want my legacy to be that I was someone that, one, believed in myself and then believed in others and helped lead the way. I know that I'm a leader. I know that the role I play and the purpose that I play has a lot to do with helping others and being in service to others. And I'm grateful for that. Like I say it every day as soon as I wake up, God, use me in the ways that you need me to be used, because we're not born just to, make our own lives better. We're not born to make a bunch of money and like just sit on it until we die. Like we're born to make a difference in this world and make at least one person's life better. And I try to do whatever I can every single day to make not only the people around me lives better, but even if I just meet someone, like, I know that 20, 30, 40, 100 years from now, someone somewhere will be saying my name. And I'm grateful because it's just the things that I've done and the relationships that I built just naturally.
Yeah. And this is kind of a personal question I have. Right now, interest rates are high. House prices are high. Feels like they're playing a game of chicken. Who's going to back down first?
Good question. So, more than likely, the interest rates, we'll see a little bit of a difference with midterm elections. There's so many factors that go into it. A lot of people don't even realize. Even a lot of people don't know this. If you look, when the interest rates are up, it affects every single thing.
Right.
Even the Powerball. Most people don't know this. The higher the interest rate is, the higher the Powerball is. The higher the interest rate is, the higher gas is. Like, the higher the interest. So The feds are trying to basically make money harder to receive. And even though studies don't even show that that's the most effective way, it's just the only way that they've ever used. We see in other countries that if you didn't raise the interest rates, that people are still purchasing, the inflation goes down. But they pumped $2 trillion into a system. And then real estate went crazy for 2 years. And so a lot of people look at it and like, oh, well, I mean, I seen someone write like on this other female realtor's page, like, oh, time to get a real job, sweetie. And it's like, no, we want to take a break because we are tired. Like, I am exhausted and I'm okay. I'm about to go on vacation for a month and just this, you know what I mean? Like, but in the same sense, like the hustler in me is like, oh, okay, everybody's going to go on vacation too. Maybe we shouldn't go on vacation, you know? Because this is the time to, like, real estate never stops. We have lulls and market dips and ups and downs, but it never ends.
Yeah.
So this is the time where people that are smart are going to take advantage. You know, if you're an investor, like all my investor clients, like literally this is the only time that I have my phone even on silent because I'm constantly looking at deals, constantly looking for price reductions, constantly trying to find better deals for them because they're out there. It just depends on, you know, these are the types of markets where you can really make a lot of money. Like this is the time for opportunity. So the more readily I am with deals and the more accessible I am to people, the better that things will be.
That's a great answer. Do you have any questions for me now?
Yes. So one, congratulations too, because I think since the last time I seen you, you got engaged.
Correct.
That's so good. I'm so happy for you guys. I love Sam. I reached out to her the other day too.
Oh, that's what's up.
Because she's doing like Airbnb too.
Yeah.
How has it been being a homeowner and a landlord too? But you've been a homeowner but a landlord.
Right. It's very interesting. It's especially interesting because I was fortunate enough not to have a landlord growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know the role that like I have to take. To be honest with you, I think I do a little bit too much. Yeah. Like I'm the landlord that wants to make sure everyone's happy, wants to make sure like, you know, if something doesn't look right, okay, I'll get it fixed. Like I just want to make sure like my tenants are comfortable, which is I guess a good thing, but like business wise might not be the best thing. But something I can tell to every first, you know, multifamily and you're trying to build a real estate portfolio is you have to look at it as a business because that's what it is. So if your water pipes burst, which mine did, if you have, you know, all these issues, you have to just tell yourself that these are business expenses. The minute you internalize it and say, my roof is leaking, my pipes burst at my house, it's a whole different feeling that you get. And you're like, oh, I'm done with it. But if it's a business and you're hopefully making a profit, then it's just a business expense. And it's just a way different feeling. It's like, okay, cool, make sure everything's straight. Rather than my house is leaking, my house is messing up. Yeah. So that's kind of how I'm taking.
That's something that I tell all my clients. Like, this is a business. Yeah. Everything that you're doing is a business.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think my house went up $100,000 since I bought it. Yes. So it's crazy. It's a crazy experience. And I'm planning on buying another one top of next year, I would say.
And this time, I am your realtor, and I will not let you down.
Got you. No problem at all.
And that's the thing, too. It's like, I feel like in that point, you kind of came in at a time, too, where it was almost like I was just trying to save the deal. So I didn't really give you the attention that I needed to. So I think about it like that. Like, but I'm always constantly learning and growing, like we all are, you know. And I'm proud of where I've come from even that point.
100%.
You know?
100%. Any more questions for me?
What else too? I did have another question. So I seen too, like we've had conversations about you doing now like Smooth into a whole business and like a multifaceted business. Mm-hmm. What really made the transition for you to be able to take it from just events into like now a whole full scope business?
So, to be honest with you, I've been doing it the whole time, just not on the books, right? Mm-hmm. Like I was doing concerts, I was doing events, this and that, and it was just cash, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because it ties into real estate.
Yeah.
Because all of the money that I made through my events and things like that, none of it counted towards income when it came to buying a multifamily.
Exactly.
So I purchased my multifamily off just the strength of my 9 to 5. So, now that I'm getting older and I want to, in 5 years buy like that house, that single family house, all the income I get on the books is needed to get, qualified for a bigger loan. Also, I just bought a new car, and that's actually under my business as a lease. And it's just like, as you get older and, you start, because there's a level of business where it's like, all right, you have an idea and you're making money, cool. Then you're like, oh, I want to keep all the cash to myself. That's also, if you're young, that's cool too.
Yeah.
Then there's a level of like, oh no, I need to put it on the books because, the real big things I want, like the real things, not just the clothes or whatever, like the actual substantial, things I want, it requires money on the books. That's when you change it to LLC. It was funny because when I'm at the finance department at the Lexus place, I asked her, I was like, how many of the leases went through businesses instead of individuals? She said every single lease that she financed this year was through a business.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, people are playing a way different game that tons of us don't even know. You know what I mean? Like when I bought my Audi, I'm thinking like I'm cool in my Audi, not knowing that, this person over here in an Audi, that's a business expense. So that's actually helping them save on taxes. Whereas though me, it's hurting my potential buying power.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just two different ways of looking at it. But
yeah, because I'm telling you, once you get into a different tax bracket, you start looking at things different.
Yeah,
I'd be looking for any way to donate. I'm
Yeah.
like, so who got a cost?
Yeah.
Because I gotta save.
Well, now that you brought that up, I hope you ain't capping.
No, seriously.
I plan on. I don't know. Have you ever heard of VP Mills?
Like the.
It's this woman who she runs her own meal prep business.
Oh yeah. Vicky.
And
yeah.
Vicky, yep. And shout out to Vicky. I'm actually planning on doing free meals for kids, but it's gonna be like healthy meals that they can just pop in the microwave. And I'm gonna do it in East Providence, and it's gonna be next month.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to donate just a little bit, $50, $100 or whatever,
no, seriously,
let me know, and
100%.
I'll definitely get you involved. Very cool.
Yeah.
Last but not least, if there's anyone down on, bad luck, just had a massive failure, what's something that you could tell that person to kind of uplift them and give them some motivation?
Yeah. That's one of the things I'm really big on is just being able to inspire others. I've been through a lot, I've done a lot, I've gained a lot, I've earned a lot, I lost it all. I went to a point where I was extremely successful, made a lot of money, and then I lost it all. I messed it up. And then I realized that that's why it didn't make me or break me, because I was still the same person. I was still able to keep going and keep pushing. I made it back, and I did it again. And, it's like what you're going through does not make you or break you. How you respond to it is what actually defines you. And a lot of the times, that's why I always say, like, I don't believe in time. It's not lotto, because it's not the end. It's like we constantly always feel like, oh, like things right now suck, and this is the worst thing that could have happened to me. But it's like, it could also be the best thing that ever happened to you. Like you could immediately take that momentum after you go through it and work through it. And, I'm big on meditation, and I'm big on really just like looking inward. And the sooner that you do that, the better off your life will be. If you have absolutely nothing, then you could sit in a room for 10 minutes and not think about anything, and guaranteed it's going to bring you to a better place in life. And of course, it's not that simple. It's just like you really have to look outside your own box to get out of that box. You can sit in that box all day and be, woe is me, sad, oh, this sucks. But until you sit there and say, okay, well, how the heck do I get out of this box then? Not why am I in it? Life gets better. So, you know, if you feel like you're in a box, you feel stuck, be honest with yourself about who's putting that box on you and how can you get out of it.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, Maddie, thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure. Like, all our conversations are really good. Shout out to my mom, because I know she's going to watch this episode.
I
She'll
know.
watch all
I love you.
And yeah, I wish you much success in the future. And I can't wait to see you on a billboard somewhere. You know what I mean? Because I definitely see that for you.
Thank you.
No problem.
I appreciate
And
that.
to everyone out there, stay smooth.